Let's talk about setting up the camera for the autofocus 3 assignment. We're going to put our mode dials in the letter P, and then we're going to come here on the back of the camera, hit this Q button. We're going to come up, make sure our ISO is on, ISO is on auto. Our quality is on L. Our drive is on single shooting. Our white balance is on AWB, but we're going to change it up for the autofocus on this one. For this one, we're going to change it from one shot, and we're going to go to Ai Servo, and we're going to try to figure out what Ai Servo is for and what it does. And then for this one, I would probably set my focus point selection by pressing this button right here. I would probably going to want to set this one to automatic, and unless it's giving you a hard time, unless you're having a hard time getting your subject in focus, you may want to change it. But for the most part, I think automatic is going to work just fine for this one. So here's a cool thing about Ai Servo, you guys. Ai Servo is always refocusing for you, meaning as your subject is moving around or as your camera moves around, your camera will constantly be refocusing. So watch this. I'm going to press the shutter release halfway down to start activating the autofocus, and you can see it's focusing on that Red Bull can until I move down, and now it's trying to focus on the tennis ball, and now it's trying to focus on the desk. And I'm just keeping the shutter release held halfway down this entire time, and you can see as I move the camera around, it's constantly refocusing. Remember, on one shot, when I held the shutter release down, I could move the camera and it would stay locked on the water ball. But Ai Servo is constantly trying to refocus based on what you're pointing the camera at. Again, as long as you're holding the shutter release down. So as I keep holding the shutter release down, sorry, my chair is kind of squeaky. Watch as it refocuses on different things. This is super helpful when you have someone walking towards the camera. Let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so I got Naya over there. You'll notice as I press the shutter release halfway down, as she walks towards the camera, you'll notice the camera is just keeping her in focus the whole way as I'm just holding the shutter release down. And that's the beautiful part about Ai Servo, is when you have moving subjects like this, and as long as you keep that shutter release held down, the camera will keep them in focus.